My guest today is Sunil Srivatsa. Sunil is the founder and CEO at Storm Labs, an open source software development studio. We'll learn all about this today. They're building infrastructure for decentralized protocols such as Cove. But as I say, we'll learn about all this today. Welcome to the show, Sunil.
Thanks for having me, Andy. Excited to be here.
Excited to have you here. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It would be cool if you could please introduce yourself. Love to hear a little bit of your, professional and personal backstory, what you've been doing in the lead up to founding Storm Labs.
Yeah, totally. So for my education, I studied computer science and finance at Washington University in St. Louis, which ended up being a good background for starting to work in decentralized finance. Right out of school, I went into software engineering. I worked on the data engineering team at Square for 1 year, at a failed Sequoia and Coastal funded startup for 1 year. And then I was at Uber for about 5 years prior to jumping into the space full time. While I was at Uber, worked on a few different projects. The first one was real-time data infrastructure. After that, I hopped over to the advanced technologies group and we built an analytics platform for self-driving car data. And then for the last maybe like year and a half, I was working on the infrastructure security team. On the crypto side, I think I have a pretty relatable story. You heard about Bitcoin, pretty early on, but didn't do anything at the time. But I started following along with crypto 2015, and the whole kind of like DAO hack happened. And I thought it was like really fascinating that, there was like on-chain capital formation and anybody from anywhere in the world could like participate in this. But then it exploded quite fantastically. And so kind of wrote it off at that time. Sorry, 1 second. My Roomba decided to start for some reason. And then in 2017, finally, I decided to buy some Ether and become a little bit more active in various communities, including one that's still around today called Cluster. That's a great, community of builders and investors. And so I was pretty active through the whole ICO and private pre-sale era, if you remember that. But then around 2018, 2019, during the bear market, I kind of went back to just doing software engineering. And then early 2020, started to seem like the market was starting to pick up a little more again. And I had previously heard of Andre Cronje back in 2017, 2018, when he was writing code reviews for different protocols. And I thought they were, very well written, and he had a great understanding of how all these different things worked. And he had just put out this new product that he was calling Y tokens. And this was kind of like the precursor to what would become Yearn, which was really, it was the first fair launch protocol and really the kind of like go-to savings protocol in DeFi. And so these Y tokens basically let people just deposit into a smart contract, and then they would like automatically move your like stable coins, for example, around to the different opportunities that were there in DeFi to make sure you were earning like the best yield without you having to do anything. And so, for me and my background, that just like instantly clicked and resonated with me. That was like something really, really cool that you just can't build something like that in traditional finance, right? It's really like Ethereum and having programmable money that makes that possible. And so that really drew all of my attention into DeFi. I started to play around with various protocols and things there, which is how I originally connected with Matt Luongo, who's the founder of Thesis, a blockchain venture studio. And so then he eventually convinced me to quit my job at Uber and to found Saddle, which was the first open source stable swap, which is a type of automated market maker. And that protocol did a little over $2.2 billion in volume and is one of the most widely forked protocols. It's used in a bunch of DeFi protocols today. But unfortunately, we weren't really seeing, the usage that we wanted to. So that ended up shutting down in the middle of last year. But I am still captivated by DeFi. And since then, I've got my hands dirty again and started to work on Cove.
I love it. Well, we covered a lot of ground there, Sunil, but you've done a fantastic job of kind of laying the framework for the conversation, really. So fascinating stuff. I guess where do we start? So really, it's about DeFi. You're obviously deep into DeFi, and doing your part to help build out the rails for decentralized, or as you say on Storm Labs, democratized finance for all. So should we start with Storm Labs, and then we'll move over to Cove, and then I guess we can talk about DeFi more broadly as well. But just give us the kind of, I guess, the origin story and thesis, if you like, just quickly for Storm Labs.
Yeah, totally. So the Saddle team was around, I want to say, a little over 10 people when we had shut down the prior company. And at the time, I had known that I wanted to work on another decentralized finance protocol. So the company was really born kind of from the ashes, I would say. And so I ended up bringing along a few of my former teammates that I'd previously worked with. And I'd say one of the things that I wanted to be really, really careful about when bringing on people for this next company was just making sure that we are bringing on the right people, not just anybody who could get the job done. And so I feel like we have a really, really strong core of folks who really believe in, enabling economic empowerment for, unbanked people, and just like the real ethos of Ethereum and DeFi. We're a relatively small team, only 5 people. So it's myself, 3 people on the engineering side, and then a social media manager. And we're fully remote. So we don't have a headquarters or office. We're mostly based on the East Coast, but we have a few people elsewhere.
Very nice, very nice. And so I suppose your first product, if you like, is Cove, right? So, I mean, you can explain this a little bit better than I can, but essentially it's a DeFi portfolio, as you kind of talked about before. It's built with the Yearn ecosystem, and it helps you find the best yield on chain. I'm sure there's a little bit more to it than that, but I think that's kind of the idea. So, yeah, talk us through the idea for Cove. Who are you building this for, and where are we on that kind of product journey?
Totally. So the real inspiration from Cove actually came from my own experiences of being very active on chain, and trying to find the best opportunities. And it really, really quickly becomes quite tedious monitoring things, and then having to go get your hardware wallet and like click a bunch of buttons to move your money around. And I was wondering, why isn't there a protocol? We're talking about programmable money here, where I can basically be like, hey, I'm okay with exposure to like these 3 assets. I want to deploy 100K. Go figure out how to earn me the most amount of money. And it's kind of a paradox, I guess. I wanted to build a DeFi protocol to help me spend less time in DeFi. And so what we came up with is this idea for Cove. And so Cove is actually a suite of a couple of different products that's meant to boost your earnings without the hassle. So the piece that I'm the most excited about is that main protocol that you mentioned, which is the main Cove protocol, the first on-chain portfolio manager. And what's special about that is that it eliminates what's called loss versus rebalancing, which is one of these kind of like hidden fees that makes providing liquidity to most normal automated market makers just like not really make sense. So it kind of like helps get rid of that and ultimately just earn more for people who are putting their dollars to work on the blockchain.
Yeah, and it's when is so Cove Protocol expected to launch Q3 2024? It says in the docs on your website. Is that still the case?
Yeah, totally. Let me get into a little bit more detail, I guess, about what it is and how it actually works.
Let's do that.
So we really want the protocol to be like flexible enough for people to create positions to capture whatever sort of exposure that they want, right? So let me talk you through just like one example that kind of shows off the benefits of the protocol. So let's say you, Andy, you wanted to hold a portfolio that was something like 60% Bitcoin and 40% Ether. And let's say I wanted to take the other side of that. So I wanted 60% Ether and then 40% Bitcoin. So what actually happens is over time, those two like portfolios, they actually trade directly against each other. And so if one protocol is custodying both of those positions, you can just net out all of the different trades between them without having to worry about stuff like price impact, slippage, fees, MEV that you normally would if you were rebalancing a portfolio, from your own wallet. And you can imagine as more and more people are custodying their funds and like positions on this protocol, there's more and more like matches between these different portfolios that are all, inside the protocol. And so figuring out how to maximize that like the number of internal matches is actually a specific type of math problem called linear programming. And so what we've done is we've actually written this custom off-chain solver that the foundation will kind of own as a public good that is really going to augment the on-chain protocol to basically figure out what is the best way to maximize earnings for liquidity providers.
Yeah, got it. And how I also the website itself, or Cove, Cove is well, it's a cool name. It's a great name. I guess it's the brand, and you've kind of illustrated that brand quite nicely through the website with, well, literally a picture of a cove on an island surrounded by, the blue ocean, deep blue sea, and there's like a humpback whale, I guess. And so it's part, Ethereum, utopian vision, and I guess part kind of open water finance. Is that kind of the vibe that you're going for with Cove?
Yeah, I would say the name really comes from like a cove is like a safe shelter
Harbor. Yeah.
water where you don't have to worry about like turbulence and storms and all the bad things, pirates maybe, and we kind of want to be that safe haven where folks can just go and leave their assets there, know that they're going to be managed securely, and watch their wealth grow over time without having to worry too much.
And so as you build this out, are there different parts of the crypto or DeFi ecosystem that you're aiming this at, Sunil? Like, is it for, active fund managers? Is it for just the average, perhaps crypto retail user who wants to dabble in DeFi? Maybe they just have a bit of Ethereum and they're like, well, how can I put this to work? Or is it for all of those different people? How do you kind of frame this?
Totally. I'd say initially we're focusing on folks who already are familiar with crypto and probably, have moved money around between a few different protocols and are generally familiar with how things work. Just because I don't think we've really seen the big wave of retail come back this cycle yet. And so from my perspective, it made sense to focus on the people who are actually here right now, moving money around on chain and having suffering from the problem that I'm, hopefully trying to solve. Longer term, though, the vision for Cove really though is what if you took one of these like really fundamental like Web2 institutions like BlackRock or Vanguard and reinvented that sort of asset management capabilities as a crypto native protocol, right? Because if you look at traditional finance, like indices and ETFs are like, there's more than like 10 trillion or something of these out there, right? And companies like BlackRock and Vanguard, they might only be charging 10 or 20 basis points, on each of these products, but on such a large amount of capital, that ends up being a pretty substantial amount of money, right? That could, ostensibly be going to the people who are holding the ETFs, right? And so I personally believe that, in the future, we're going to see most, if not all things become tokenized. And somebody needs to figure out like, what is that paradigm going to look like when you try to build that like as a protocol? And so it's a really difficult problem. We're certainly going to get some things wrong, but I think we're on the right, going in the right direction, and pretty excited about finally getting this out into people's hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're right. Yeah, the kind of tokenization thesis has been really brought back into picture or back into contrast lately with like the likes of BlackRock really looking close at what is possible, and people getting excited around that. But if we go back to Cove, so I know there's going to be a Cove, there'll be a Cove token, of course. I guess it's like a governance token for the protocol. So maybe just anything interesting about that we should know, and also let's do boosties as well, because I think that is kind of something that people can get involved with immediately, if I'm not wrong, Sunil.
Yeah, yep, yep. Yeah. So what we just released a couple of weeks ago was this was really the first product that we launched was called Cove Boosties, which is a liquid locker and staking platform for Urine. So what happens with protocols like Curve is the most popular example of this, or Urine as well, is they basically pay some amount of their like native governance token to people who provide liquidity. But what they do is they apply a boost where if you actually have owned that governance token and you lock it up for Curve, you could earn up to like 2.5x more than you would if you did not, right? And so this poses the challenge of if you're like a liquidity provider, you now need to have like both the asset you're trying to deposit as well as some amount of their locked governance token in order to earn the best yields. And for myself personally, as I had mentioned earlier on the call, I got like my roots in DeFi from watching Urine, grow, and I really do believe that they are some of the best, bolts for people to just deposit money, and they know that they can rest easy, know that their funds are managed by professionals. But we had seen a gap where there really wasn't a liquid locker. So this is kind of the solution to that problem that I just described is you basically have a protocol where it allows people to give that native governance token to the protocol. It gives them like a receipt token. So in our case, that's called Cove Wi-Fi, and that ultimately lets them like move it around between different wallets or trade it. It basically unlocks its liquidity while having the native governance token that they gave the protocol just be permanently locked up, and then its boost shared with people who are providing liquidity on that platform.
Yeah, and you guys raised 3 million pre-seed quite recently, just to help you guys along as you build this out, didn't you?
Yeah, so we just announced that as well with the launch of Boosties. So we closed a $3 million pre-seed fundraising round led by Electric Capital with participation from Accomplice, Robot Ventures, Daedalus, and an awesome group of angels. Um, I had the pleasure of working with Electric Capital at Saddle, and they are, I think, one of the rare investors who you never really hear anything bad about, and they have just been absolutely stellar partners through trying to really like bring my vision to life. And so, when I was going back at it again, I knew I wanted to work with them.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Look, if we go a bit broader, Sunil, it's a interesting time and the wider crypto markets. I guess you kind of alluded to it yourself earlier when you said we haven't really seen that next wave of retail participants in this cycle, and I think that's broadly the case. Also, DeFi itself is maybe, or even, Ethereum is kind of, the Ethereum DeFi narrative is just slightly more, it's still there, but, Bitcoin has kind of led this market rally, obviously with the ETFs, then Solana, but just being cheaper and faster. We saw a lot of attention go to Solana. And now, crazily enough, the market actually seems to be infatuated with meme coins of all things. And I just, given that kind of slightly confused and interesting market structure at the moment, how does the DeFi vision, if you like, kind of move forward and attract new users with new capital to really, take it to the next level?
Totally. I think it's important to remember that DeFi is like a very, very new construct. Like this thing didn't even exist like 10 years ago, right? It was only last cycle where it really became a thing. As far as I see it, we're still like in the very, very early innings of kind of like experimentation and, these systems really getting developed more. But to your point, I think, especially in the Ethereum ecosystem right now, there's a lot of players that are sucking a lot of capital and air out of the room. So most notably Eigenlayer, as well as like Blast and a bunch of these other layer twos, for example, where there's now like billions of dollars of capital that's just been locked up and is sitting there, right? And at some point in time, that capital is going to have to find somewhere else to go to, right? And then there's also going to be, some exciting events like hopefully Eigenlayer and Blast dropping their tokens as well, which I'm optimistic will hopefully result in a influx of capital and people willing to try some more new DeFi things.
Yes, indeed. All right. So just lay out again, just the timeline for the various parts of the product release for the different parts of Cove.
Yeah, totally. So 2 weeks ago, we launched the first 5 volts for Cove Boosties, as well as the governance token. I guess that's the other thing I didn't touch on yet. So we released a non-transferable governance token. So right now, this is being distributed to users of the protocol. So you can go and deposit money into Boosties and start earning network equity today. The token will be non-transferable for between 6 to 18 months, 18 months at a maximum. If the token holder governance decides to enable transfers before then, it can be liquid. But right now, its sole utility is participating in governing the network. And we wanted to get that into the hands of folks who are, going to be contributors as early as we could. So all that's out there right now. In the coming weeks, we're planning to launch a few new Yearn Volts. So they just launched these 3 new ones on mainnet for the single assets, Ether, USDC, and DAI. So we should have those coming out in the next few weeks. We'll be adding support for depositing various different sorts of assets, so making it a lot easier to access these opportunities. And then the main Cove protocol is currently under development. We've finished a design document and had Trail of Bits do a design review with us. And we expect to be able to ship that hopefully towards the end of Q3 this year.
Awesome. Thank you, Sunil. And just for people that want to learn more about Cove, but also maybe just see what you guys are doing at Storm Labs, just shout out the websites, socials, etc. Where can people go to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. For Cove, you can find us on Twitter at Cove_Fi or Cove.finance. For Storm Labs, you can find the website at storm-labs.xyz. And you can find my personal Twitter at DevOps199fan.
Awesome. I think then what we do now is we'll go to a very quick break and then we will come back. We will finish off. We'll have some fun by running you through the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. Back in 1 second. And boom, we are back. And I'm with Sunil Srivatsa. Sunil, of course, is the founder and CEO at Storm Labs, open source software development studio, building out the Cove DeFi protocol, as we've heard about today. Sunil, I like to finish each podcast with a very quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
I am ready.
Awesome. Just going to run some questions at you. Just want your, honest answers, hot take style, if you like, but no right or wrong way to do it. Question 1, I think we know what you'll say here, but the first question is, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Definitely multi-chain.
Yep, very good. All right. What would you say then is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
Ethereum will become the global value settlement layer for the internet.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Look, Sunil, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. As someone who's been, building in crypto for some time, you'll be very familiar with that kind of concept. But yeah, look, 10 years in blockchain is a long time, but DeFi, I guess, or Cove, if you like, what does it look like in 10 years' time?
Yeah, great question. I mean, if this is successful, I would really see this hopefully starting to eat up at Vanguard and BlackRock's and all of these major legacy financial institutions eat at their AUM. I think the power of crypto is you can build systems that are just superior, right? Like you can trust math, not people. And it's only a matter of time until, people, they just want things to be easy and fast. And, crypto enables that for finance.
I love it. Yes, indeed. All right. William Gibson famously said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Oh man, that's a good question. Hmm. I would probably say the proliferation of like chat GPT and generative AI. Like my background is I'm a software engineer and I don't do as much engineering and coding these days. But being able to, code with the assistance of chat GPT or Claude and some of these tools is just like a superpower. And I think we're in the early innings of seeing generative AI applied to like every single field. So it's yeah, it'll be interesting to see where things are in a few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Ego capital. Is ego capital still a thing? Are you still involved with that?
Yeah, definitely. Recently, we've invested in Monad, which we're really, really excited about. I'd say we've been, we want to make sure we have a lot of conviction when we go into deals and are only attaching our name to, projects that we really believe in. So there haven't been quite as many, I would say, recently, but we're definitely starting to see more exciting projects, and I'm really looking forward to the next, 6 to 12 months. There's a lot of cool stuff that folks are working on.
And what is ego capital, and why the name? I've seen I've seen it referenced around, but I've never really heard the story. So please.
Yeah, absolutely. So at some point in time last cycle, it became really popular for people to be pseudonymous, either completely pseudonymous, where you don't know what their like actual name is, or just pseudonymous, where you might run into them at conferences or something, but they don't have their name plastered, on the internet. And so there was a group of us that were all, I'd say, very interested in DeFi and a couple of different spaces, and we all basically, got in a Telegram group. And one of the members, Peter Pan, had previously founded one of the first investment DAOs called Metacartel Ventures, and so that they basically kind of married a smart contract with like legal forms in a corporation, which was a really cool and interesting idea. And Peter was wondering, what if we tried to do that without all the legal like entities and stuff, and just had a collection of people? Which is how the group originally started. We soon learned that that doesn't work really well, and most projects want you to have an entity for you to be able to invest. So we've since had to go through the motions to set that up. But we have a awesome group of folks, a lot of well-known faces you'll see on CT, like CL, Hedgehog, Degen Spartan, and we've got a really active Telegram group that we chat with every day, and it's a really solid group of people I'm happy to call friends.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And brings us nicely to our final question, which is what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Oh man, that's hard. Probably Three Body Problem, but Neuromancer is, or Snow Crash.
Yeah, look, all absolute classics of the genre. Did you happen to watch the Netflix adaptation of Three Body Problem?
I did, yes.
What do you think? Have you read the books as well?
I've read all the books. It's interesting. We'll have to see how the rest of it plays out. But I think they got the right people on board to try to take that the books and convert them into a different format.
Yeah, look, I really enjoyed the series as well. I actually just watched the final episode last night, but yeah, I haven't even looked into whether they've confirmed that there will be a second season. I guess there, hopefully there will be, because they've only just begun to tell the story. But yeah, I really enjoyed it as well.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Hey, look, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on the show and spending some time with us today, Sunil. Again, just to close it out again, tell people where they can find you on Twitter or wherever else you like to hang out online, and where people can go to learn all about what you guys are doing with Cove Finance.
Absolutely. You can follow us along on X at Cove_Fi, and follow me at DevOps199fan. Thanks for having me, Andy.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on the show. All the best, and bye for now. All right, there you go. There was Sunil from Cove building out, I guess, the future of DeFi. Cove looks really nice, actually. So, yeah, links are in the show notes. Cove.finance. I think, Yeah. All right, team. We reached the end of another show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See you.